this new radio do things like this, I don't know. I don't know what to do. What's up, Brite Nation? So we are still at Jeep Beach, and while we were here, I finally decided to pull the trigger to swap out our crappy head unit, which is from 2018, and it's not the mini one, but it's not the 8.4. And I'll go over in a minute what we're going with, but Jeepers Den actually does installs here at Jeep Beach. So it's kind of cool. Some of these companies, if you buy the product, they will install it while you're here. So while you're shopping around, walking around, they pull your vehicle over to these garages. There's a stepchild getting worked on already, and they do that. And Jeepers Den has a whole ton of stuff here. And so they are generally pretty full. I wanted to go with the 8.4 Jeep one, but it's nearly impossible or not worth the trouble, especially with some of the head units that are out nowadays. But I did go through it. So if you remember back a few years ago, we went with JL Audio and we left the head unit stock, but we did replace the top speakers. We did an amp and did a sub. The sub no longer fits, unfortunately, so we're gonna have to figure that out. But the head unit, I wanted to go with the factory Jeep 8.4 U-Connect. I figured that was fine, like we might as well just do that. Then I looked it up. Because a big reason for this was I wanted the front camera. But that's not, it's possible, somebody did a whole write-up on it, but it is the biggest pain in the butt because you have to get the splitter in the middle, and I read up all on it, and it was such a pain in the freaking butt that it's so much easier just to go to an aftermarket head unit, especially when you got professionals installing it, not me, because I hate wiring anyway. But we'll now be able to have a front camera, and it is nice to have a front camera. It's nice to have a front camera, especially when you're out in Moab, Sand Hollow, where there's lots of ups and downs and you don't know what's on the other side. And if you don't have a spotter, or even if you do, it's nice as the driver to be able to see up over what you're cresting. We're here, Jeepers Den is hooking it up, and they're getting it done. It's 5 o'clock, and they've got multiple guys working on this. Maybe I'll have them go over some of the stuff that they're doing and why. But the head unit that we've gone with is the Stinger 10-inch, and there's different ones. This isn't a hookup by Stinger. This is actually these guys giving us a deal on it, but really it's mostly the install and getting it done. So we'll give you real world testing on this Stinger unit to see what's up and see if it handles it. I've heard good, I've heard bad, I've heard indifferent. So we're gonna put in this thing, you know we smash rocks, you know we go fast, it's dirt, it's dirty, all that kind of stuff. And so we'll actually be able to give you real world testing on this unit. Literally in the 5-10 minutes while I was talking, trying to figure it out, these guys just went ahead and this gives me anxiety. Like seeing this, I literally want to throw up. So this is a stock unit, and the bigger stock unit you can plug in, but you can't, the camera thing is the biggest issue. This is crazy. So they've already gotten in here. I already have an amp under here, right there. It's a pretty badass amp. Yeah, I don't have the Stinger unit. So I'll have to show you all that. This happened really fast, and we're trying to get this done. So this is the 10-inch screen here. It's super slick. It's cut out around the AC vents and everything. How many cameras does this thing do total?
It'll do with the underbody will do 4,
yeah,
and then another 4 on top of it.
So 8 total cameras. So it does 8 total cameras. So we do an underbody kit. So we do 4. I can do 1 in each wheel well. I can do something underneath to see the drive shafts, whatever. Plus front camera, plus rear camera, plus like ones that go in the door facing back for like your blind spot camera. When you hit your blinker, right? So when you hit your blinker, it'll actually switch to that camera. So you can, it automatically does that. That's super sick. Now the 8.4 U-Connect, I still don't even think is 8.4 inches because things get cut off on the side. So it's still pretty small. And like I said, it's a pain in the ass to actually get it to even add a front camera to it. And I don't even think it's digital. I think it's an analog input if you do it that way. It's something, it's not great. And I think only one person I found online actually went through with it and listed out all the part numbers and everything you had to do. Big old write-up. That dude is a hero for anybody that wants to do it. But I saw all that and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna pay somebody to do all that and go through all that when you can just buy one already ready to go that literally plugs and plays into the vehicle. So again, before we get any further, another huge shout out to Jeepers Den Truck and Accessories. So they are in Orlando, Florida, and they carry anything you need. And the cool shit is they don't just sell the stuff, they actually install it. And really, these guys are awesome staying late tonight. The concert's getting ready to go on. Right now we're at a little bit of standstill because I forgot to tell them about all the extra cameras that I wanted, and they have to get that all ran before we actually do, actually put it back in. And I use we as a team, like me filming and them doing it. But I guess it looks bad, but it's probably not as bad as it actually looks. So there is a single camera kit, and then there's this additional 4 camera kit. And like I said, it'll do up to 8 cameras. So the 4 camera kit is additional. So is the single camera kit, and it's nothing crazy, but it's all really high stuff. And you can see in the photo there how they have it down on the suspension, the wheel and tire. That's kind of what I want to do. Our front camera is going to go up here. I did see a super cool install on one of the bigger Warren winches where they actually drilled and put it into the winch and had it super down low, but I want a broader view. I kind of want to see everything, especially when I'm going fast or cresting everything. So that's where that's going to go. They're getting ready to pre-wire that right now. But everything is kind of a la carte. So you get the head unit, and then you get the single camera kit, and then the 4 camera kit. Now, as far as I know, the factory rear camera will still work on just as the yeah, right? So the factory rear camera, you don't have to change out. So they're still able to use a signal from that into that unit. So you don't have to worry about that guy at all. So I don't know if the factory radio, it used to work. Hopefully the new radio going in really works, because that one's not gonna work anymore. I guess I'll just sell this stock radio for like $300. Oh crap, oh man. So I plan to sell this stock radio for like $300.
See if we can get it.
Oh, I got it. Calm down, calm down. Obviously it's a joke. I mean, it's not, because it's broken, but I wasn't gonna sell it. And I figured if anybody's upgrading their radio, like, you don't want the 7-inch screen. Like, that's just, like, why? You can actually just get with these guys. Hey, if you call them, I don't know if they'll hook you up, but say, hey, I saw it on Brite, and can I get a price on this stuff? Maybe they'll hook you up. I don't know. Definitely if you're in Florida. Hey, the Jeep starts, which means the wiring works. We don't know if the radio works yet, but we'll see. Where'd that bat come from? Why all of a sudden did you have a bat? You just spawned with the bat.
He's in the back of the truck. Oh my God. He's got a game tomorrow.
So if you guys are coming on out to Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion, they will be there. And they said they do these radio installs in 27 minutes. And so they do like 40 something radio installs with 2 guys. So if you are coming out to Jeep Invasion, generally they have not discounts, I guess show discounts, show deals, and can get you installed. So while you're walking around, literally 27 minutes to get this thing installed in your JL, or maybe JK too. All right, so not gonna lie, so far it makes the interior look so clean. You can adjust from your normal controls, or you can actually adjust it on the screen. So you can go to climate and everything pulls up there. So you have your temperature, heated steering wheel, all your controls through this. Pretty super cool. Go back to home, cameras. So that's my front camera and the rear camera. So the rear camera is actually clearer than the front camera, because the rear camera in the stock jail is really high quality. I don't know how it's gonna come off on this, but now actually, yay. So that green line is at 12 feet. That's kind of what we set that at. So you kind of know how close you are to something as you're approaching it. And so far it's pretty cool. It's pretty, it reacts pretty quickly. I need to mess with it more. I haven't been in any of the vehicle info. So we have a Hemi swap. I don't know what vehicle info it's gonna give me. Okay, I haven't messed with this at all yet. So it shows too high, my altitude, tire angle. Oh yeah, that works. See the tire angle? Right there, gonna turn the wheel a little bit. My tire pressure. Oh, sick. So all this does work. Air intake temp, load, trans temp, oil pressure. It's not running right now, so I don't have oil pressure or anything. Well, let's start it and see. Sick. Well, that's pretty cool. So that gives you all your really pertinent information. That's really cool. What's on performance? Hey, you can do a 0 to 60 launch. Huh, okay. But it gives you your coordinates, altitude, tire angle, off-road pages. So this is all pretty cool. It has a lot of stuff here. My axle lockers aren't gonna work. It's not gonna show sway bar or any of that stuff, because that's all disconnected in my vehicle. So far so good. We didn't put in the XM module when we put this in. I forgot to tell them about that too. So that's not gonna work until we put that in. I don't have my Apple CarPlay hooked up right now, but yeah, I'll have Apple CarPlay and be able to use my GPS for any of that stuff. And then we didn't do the navigation. I don't ever use nav on here. I just use Google Maps. So we didn't put the nav card in it, so we're not gonna have a nav card. Anyway, so far so good, and it makes the interior, looks super nice. So I'm gonna play around with it for a little while, see if I find any other cool things before I close this out. I'm gonna play around with it tonight, tomorrow some, and then we'll get back into it. I'll ask them more about it. I was just trying to mess with it right now just to see how it went. And then I'll let you guys know, and we'll close this video out with thoughts on what we think now, and then We'll go slam the Jeep on some rocks and see if it survives.
3 weeks later.
All right, guys, so instead of a couple days, I gave it a couple weeks, almost a couple weeks of dealing with the radio. And I'm pretty glad I did, because things like this started happening. So I've had this new radio do things like this a lot since getting it. This is why I wanted to use it before closing this video out. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Oh, there. That happened twice, and then on top of that, I would start the Jeep and the radio would boot up and then shut off, and then boot up and shut off, and it did it, and it wouldn't stop doing it till I actually shut the Jeep off, open the door, let it. I think you have to open the door for a minute for it to like shut down the ECU, shut the door, started it, and then it was good. That's kind of like a little trick if you're having some issues. Even, and it had happened on my factory ECU or a factory radio as well. Not often, but it did happen a couple times. And I don't know, you had to open the door for a minute until your dash light shut off, and then you close the door and start it, and that kind of like does like a hard reboot or something. Anyway, so those are just a couple of things. Now, I want to get into the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's get into, I guess, some of the good stuff first, or the bad stuff. Okay, I guess let's run through, I guess, what I would consider the bad stuff real quick. The things you just saw, and the boot up and shut off and having to do that. Number 2 is it's a little laggy. If you click, it's not terrible. The home screen works faster, and sometimes it's laggier than others. Not a huge deal, but sometimes you'll hit something, you're like, oh, did I hit it? And you go to hit it again because you see how long that took. But anyway, I mean, it is what it is, and it's see, that time it was faster. So I'm not really sure why it's slower and why it's faster, but it's just kind of what happens. All right, the next thing is going to be the camera. Now, the factory backup camera's on it. It looks great. Love it. Crystal clear, high definition, great. The front camera, at a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being no front camera, a 1 being black and white camera, a 2 being a colored camera, like having color, I'd maybe rate it a 3 or 4. Like, it's better than nothing for sure. And here, let me show you, and I don't know if you're gonna be able to tell on the phone and then watching it on your TV, but I'll show you. Yeah, it's gonna be really hard to tell how fuzzy it is. I mean, it's not the worst thing. Again, you can see, right? I can actually see there's stuff in front of me, so if I'm going over an obstacle, you can see. The rear, let's see if you can tell how much clearer the rear is. Can you tell? I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but that is clear. Like, I can see definition in the house back there, and the wall and the tree, and that's pretty far away. That's across the parking lot, where this is close up, and you can see how grainy it is, and my camera is focused. So anyway, I'm wondering if I can just get better cameras, and it's not the radio itself, but it's just the cameras that I purchased with the radio. And if that's the case, maybe they're more expensive. Maybe this is good enough for most people. I would like it to be clear, but it works. It's great. I can see now. I can see over a hill. I can tell there's something there. Maybe I can't tell the depth of like a drop off or how big a rock is. The lines on there, tire placement is good, and I can actually at least see something's there. So it's passable. All right, the next thing is going to be the media center. This no longer works for Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. This media center only charges your phone now. Not sure why. I think there's a splitter or something. I'm not exactly sure, but that does not do this here anymore. What they tell you to do is use the center console one inside here. As you can see, I actually have a cord coming out the back because that's what we had to do. And this isn't a fault of the radio. This is actually a fault of Jeep, because I got online, I Googled it, why the center console one wasn't working. And there's threads on it. Jeep has responded, and it's just something about whatever year and update you've had to the computer. And I don't know. There's no consensus. People had replaced it, or Jeep has replaced it, and it didn't work. Some people have replaced it and it did work. I don't know. It just, it's not working for me. It's worked for other people, but I can't plug into that anymore and actually use CarPlay. So the last option was just to hook up a cable right to the back of it, and that is what I do on my CarPlay. Problem is, if this cable goes bad or damages, I can't just replace it. I have to pull the whole freaking radio out. So that's not exactly ideal. My solution was to get an extension cable, because these are super robust, they're a lot bigger, and I'll hook this up behind the radio, and then that way if my cable goes bad, it'll be out here and I can just replace the cable. And then if this goes bad, then yes, I have to pull the radio, but the likelihood of this nicer, bigger one going bad isn't as great as these little ones here. Although all they found, because I was in a rush, was a 6-foot, and I don't think I'm going to get into it to do that and replace that. They actually make little adapters that are super small, can plug it in, drill a hole up here, and mount it, so then I can just plug my cable right up here. And I think that will suffice. But because with the normal cable, it can reach Brittany, it can reach me, it can reach my cell phone holder. With this cable up here, it no longer can reach to Brittany. Like, it only reaches to about the cup holder, so that's no good. And I could just replace it with a longer one of these, but then if it goes bad again, yeah. So that's it for the bad. Nothing really terrible. Maybe let me know if I buy a nicer camera, will this screen actually display a nicer image if I buy a higher quality camera. Other than that, if it quits glitching, or if it doesn't glitch that often, not a big deal. And then I'll figure out the cord situation for the CarPlay. It works as it is now. Once that cord goes bad, I'll pull the radio and I'll figure out a better solution. So now on with the good. It's got a whole ton of good. You have from your regular radio, USB, obviously has CarPlay and Android Auto. I did hook up, I bought separately the Sirius XM. The Bluetooth works great. The phone works pretty decently. If I'm on the highway, it's really hard for them to hear me, and it's hard for me to hear them, but it's a loud Jeep on 40, so whatever. I do have cameras now, and I can hook up to 8 cameras. That's good. I just need to know if I get better cameras, if my quality will be better. One of the really cool things is the HDMI. I did run the HDMI into the glove box, and, well, I have nothing hooked up, but that means I can watch video on here while parked, not while driving, right? Climate control. So if you have these buttons, and I have some of these starting to stick, and they're not working, no problem, because everything is right here. You can control all your temperature. You have everything right here that you need, which is super cool, especially if you don't want to replace this guy because it's bad or you got water damage. Definitely like that. Vehicle info, I love this. You have all your parameters, everything, all your gauges, and you can click through to make them change. So if you touch it, it'll change. So these they work, but they're so laggy. This does not really accurate representation of your tack or your speed. It is if you're cruising, but if you floor it, it's not at all. Your off-road pages, my pitch and roll don't really work anymore. They glitch out a lot. That's not the radio's problem. And then vehicle info, that's kind of cool. You have all your tire pressures. And if you open the door, it'll show you the doors open, which door's open. So all that's really cool. All this tells you, obviously I don't have any of that in my vehicle anymore. But it does make it really, really nice. I can keep an eye on all this stuff. So that's the good and the bad. Take it for what you will. I'm just giving you an honest feedback after like a week and a half of use. It's decently expensive, but I think Alpine has one out that's like twice as expensive as this, and everybody I know with the Alpine one, I'm not trying to throw Alpine under the bus, it just is what it is. This is what I was told, was not to get it, that it was even more glitchy and even more just people have not liked it, but they spent so much money on it, they're not willing to swap it out because that one's really, really expensive. This isn't me bad mouthing them. It's just what I was told. I don't have personal experience with it. This is just the reason I didn't get the Alpine, because I was looking at Alpine and because it was expensive, and I figured more expensive, more gooder, not from the people that I talked to. And this is shop owners, people who've installed them, people have them in their own Jeeps and they didn't like it. So that's that. So if you don't like this one and you don't like Alpine, you're gonna have to find something else. And I'm sure there's other things out there, but this is what we went with. Right now, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10. Like, I think it's worth it. I'm glad I did it. It's definitely way nicer over the stock radio, and I'm sure I'll find some more glitches and things I don't like about it, but I might find some other stuff I do like. Either way, I give it a worth it. I give it a just barely worth it approval. These guys will be out at Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion. If you want this installed or other things installed, they're doing them there on site, just like they did mine and like they did many others here at Jeep Beach. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Remember, you can find all your Lite Brite Nation merch and decals at litebritstudios.com. Love you guys, and we'll see you next time.